quite dangerous. The ask for forgiveness and the forgiven theology in Christianity, all religions have some variation of a forgiveness ritual, absolves of accountability and responsibility, can definitely perpetuate abuse. That's actually statistically accurate. So the data shows that the forgiveness rituals within religions, all the religions, typically help the perpetrator or the predator feel better about their abuse patterns or their sins comparative to the victims. It tends to perpetuate not only them taking accountability for what was done to them, but also staying dependent in the relationship, believing that God will do the work on the predator and that will be the resolve. And then the longer the victim stays within the abusive relationships and participates in these forgiveness rituals and doesn't arrive at peace or resolve of the abuse, then that can perpetuate a cycle of shame, which also further perpetuates someone staying dependent in an abusive relationship. With, of course, there's an exception of getting out of the abusive relationships and cultivating a relationship with the divine and then seemingly trying to integrate the experience and transform it into wisdom. That is always an option. And then there's also the more likely one of getting out of an abusive relationship and then re-scripting the psychological narrative of abuse with dependence on the traditionally male figure deity. So then that becomes a new dependent relationship where, of course, there is not much of a negative aspect, but the dependence on them can help mend some of the previous wounds, but doesn't necessarily help with any integration of wisdom or secure attachment. So that way, if that person wants to get into a new relationship, they tend to pick a very familiar partner before that cultivated relationship with God. So yes, you're right on.